Here we are at the opening of Adrian's solo show at Fata Morgana in the COVID times. Adrian, so nice to be here. I thought maybe you could give us a little bit of a tour through the show.
Sure, I'd love to, and thanks Paulina for the, I'll just shut this door. Thanks for the questions, really. Yeah, so this show is called Screen Memories, and I guess it's a culmination of about 3 years of work, and basically what we have here is samples of that work. So these are all composed on a phone, iPhone X, and I would use the fill tool in certain apps, and I would take images, and I'd fill, and I'd make them fill, and they look like cool little digital images, and I thought, how could I make these physical? And so I ended up deciding to do inkjet and then doing the fills, and screen printing them over top. It took me a while to actually figure out to use screen printing to get these sort of hard edges. I did a show like this earlier called Related Images, and I actually painted, and it wasn't as effective. So screen printing was really the solution to get those sort of crisp digital edges and these strange fills. And so that's basically what we have here.
Okay. Wow, and there's so many references. Wow, and there's so many references to art history, right? I mean, are these favorite images, or are they just, I don't know, the top searched for images, or did you choose the original works?
I chose these because they're canonical, and I actually have a modern version of this show, like with Magrittes and everything. But this, ready-made of sorts, or a screenshot, or whatever.
Right.
And I also find this is sort of a theme in my work too. Maybe we can go to the other room. There's a sort of commercialization also,
sure.
and there's kind of an irony there that I find interesting. Yeah, this is a Bellini Dodge, and this is actually considered one of the greatest portraits in art history, actually. I've actually watched a lecture on the great courses, and that's what the professor said. This is one of the great, it is a masterpiece of Italian painting. So for me, I purposefully sort of take these kind of iconic works. I mean, we have a couple of Raphaels here. We have the Titian. I sort of zoomed in and cropped on the Bacchus and Ariadne there. So I do it as kind of a fan. It's also a remix of trying to modernize, these works. And yeah, and then there's this other room here as well where, yeah, I mean, in a sense you have screenshots of Google image searches, but from a mobile phone, right? And where I include, again, this sort of fills, and I use the pencil tool too, and I do all sorts of
Fascinating technique, the way you're combining the past with the present.
Yeah, there is a sort of a kind of trying to refresh the painting to a certain degree, which is maybe overly ambitious. Production of the original, let's put it that way. So yeah, so it's kind of a way of freshening. You get the contrast of the, making on a phone. I've always liked the phone because it's very modern. It's very fresh.
Yeah.
As a tool, it's not just a gimmick. I actually think it makes some of the freshest. David Hockney recognizes this in his approach, obviously, but so you get that contrast, of this kind of very traditional Leonardo apex Renaissance painting with these flat, digital, super crisp, like it's a strong contrast, right? And of course, contrast is where a lot of the gold is found in art, right? So yeah, and then finally, actually, and then I started pushing the concept furthest where I was playing with digital brush strokes and screen printing digital brush strokes, which is sort of a play on Warhol a little bit, who would sort of have his graphite pencil, and then he'd take a picture of the work, of the graphite tracing, blow it up, and then screen print, say it's rainbow colors. And so it's also about traveling through the mediums, This starts on a phone,